Hello, my name is Scott Davis. Welcome to New World Birth. This is the weekly neutrino forecast for June 14th to June 20th of 2015. And on June 14th, we have the sun. You can see it here at the bottom of the chart, denoted by this black circle with a dot in Gemini. It's also in the 12th hexagram. And on the outside of the wheel, we have the chop mark for the 12th hexagram, numbered from bottom to top. The 12th goes yin, 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 yang, yang, yang. And then the 12th hexagram is mapped to an opening in an energy channel called a gate. And right here is the 12th gate of caution, standstill, the quality of restraint, and the importance of meditation and inaction in confronting temptation, located in the throat center in an individual energy path in the knowing circuit called the channel of openness, a design of being, of a social being that connects with the 22nd gate of openness, grace, a quality of behavior best suited for handling mundane and trivial situations. And I found human design to be amazingly accurate in describing the person, that I use it as my primary tool when I provide readings. And we've got the following activated gates on June 14th. We've got the sun in the 12th gate, and the earth is in the 11th gate, with the north node in the 18th gate and the south node in the 17th gate. Mercury is newly direct in the 20th gate. Venus is in the 33rd gate. Mars is also in the 12th gate. And then we've got Jupiter in the 7th gate. Saturn is retrograde in the 14th gate. Uranus is in the 51st gate. Neptune is newly retrograde in the 37th gate, and Pluto is retrograde in the 38th gate. So obviously not every gate activation forms a channel, but this information can be very helpful if you know your own human design chart, because some of these transits will form channels with potentials in your personal body graph. So basically the neutrino forecast is just a weather report. And no matter what the weather, your individual strategy and authority is the correct choice to have an authentic experience regardless of the program. As Ra Uru Hu said, whatever the weather is going to be, you have your neutrino umbrella. As long as you're experimenting with your strategy and authority, the weather is for your pleasure. And as you can see, we begin the week with no channel definitions due to the transit field. We're going to be looking at the sun's Ravi Ching line values daily, because 70% of the neutrinos we receive come from the sun. And as Ross said in Living with the Program, the lines of the day, when talking about these daily shifts of line values, he said we can always take advantage of the themes of the day. If your strategy and authority doesn't lead you in that direction, you can also notice how the program is affecting others in your environment. So let's get started. On June 4th, we've got the sun, and the day starts in the first line of the 12th hexagram, which is the monk. Withdrawal that can be only maintained with communal support, exalted the beauty and harmony possible beyond the reach of temptation, the expression of social withdrawal and its value when supported by others, detrimented the Simon the Stylite, total and often absurd withdrawal, the absurd expression of social caution and extreme withdrawal from emotional conflict. And when we've got the sun in the first, second, third lines, this is the lower trigram. It really brings more of an inward process. People are more looking inward, more absorbed in what's going on in their own lives. And the first line is the investigator, which usually is about having a fear or an anxiety that needs to be researched, looked into. It triggers the need for information, so that's the energy of the investigator is, to find out something that we need to know to allow ourselves to relax perhaps a little bit, rather than being nervous that we don't know. Later on the 14th, though, the sun then moves out of the investigative line into the hermit line, the second line of the 12. And this shift happens at 6:51 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. If you may want to convert that to your local time zone to get a sense of what time that shift is happening. The sun in 12th hexagram second line is described as purification. rigorous withdrawal from negative influences, exalted the discipline to maintain a pure state, the expression of a disciplined social caution, detrimented the boredom that arises out of a lack of stimulation. Caution that manifests boredom and the expressed desire for stimulus. And when we're talking about the second line, the hermit line, the thing to know is that people are waiting for something. They're waiting to be called, particularly called for their natural talents. So again, lower trigram, people are stuck in their own trip. This might not be a great day to have a large social event because people really would rather stay home under that hermit energy. On the 15th, the sun then moves up into the third line of the 12, into the martyr line. And this shift happens at 6:24 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. The sun is detrimented in the martyr line of the 12 due to Mars also being in the 12, which is confession, the process of self-analysis. Detrimented, a perverse and often exaggerated self-hatred, inadequacies in social interaction that lead to the expression of self-hatred. Third line days, the martyr line. Think about it as a trial and error process, bonds made and broken, a system of discovery by figuring out what doesn't work. Things bump into us in that third line energy, so be careful in the roads, be careful of swinging doors, swinging elbows. It might be a day when we have bonds made or broken. It's a good material day. It's a good day to do business and work on the material plane. But obviously you need to be careful because things can go wrong. But ultimately there's the possibility that will lead to discovery. And then also on the 15th, Jupiter moves from the 7 to the 4. It's been on here a long time. So up to the 4. Coming out of the Ajna center here. All right. Okay. So in human design, Jupiter is generalized law, the electromagnetic central operating theater for the way in which the solar system operates. Living by the law can gain great good fortune. Activations in our human design chart tell us the law we must live by. To benefit from the generosity only comes from a deep obedience to honoring your own law, your individual strategy and authority. And Jupiter in the 4th gate of formalization, youthful folly, the energy to beguile and succeed despite ignorance, freedom from retribution. And Jupiter is in the first line of the 4, which is pleasure. Ultimate pleasure cannot be achieved without perfect timing. Exalted, the instinct to know the right moment and circumstances where pleasure is rewarded and not punished. The potential to recognize that there is a natural timing to the understanding process. Detrimented, timing is not a product of discipline. Exaggerated self-discipline leads to abuse of pleasure, the potential to recognize, but the urge to force the timing. And then on the 16th, we have the sun moving into the 4th line. So leaving the martyr line into the opportunist line, 12th hexagram. The shift happening at 5:57 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. The sun in the 12-4 is the prophet. The ability to foresee and plan for the end of standstill, exalted the rousing of the stagnant for communal preparation, the ability to foresee and express the need for social interaction and an end to caution. Detrimented, the voice in the wilderness. The expressed need for social interaction that falls on deaf ears. And when we get to the 4th line, we've moved out of the lower trigram into the upper trigram. So the shift of this energy will be changing from an inward perspective to now looking more outward. with the themes of the fourth line, opportunist line being friendship, companionship, networking. Fourth line days are great for social interaction. People are more open to networking, to being friendly and social. And then on the 17th, we've got the sun moving into the fifth line. So into the heretic line, 12th hexagram, the shift happening at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. The sun is exalted in the 12-5. So exalted, when you look at the just now chart, is an upward pointing triangle. But it's also being detrimented by Mars being in the 12, which is the downward pointing triangle. So when you look at this in the just now chart, what you'll see is the overlay of the two triangles, which looks like a six-pointed star. This is described as the pragmatist. The success of restraint lies in not abandoning lessons learned when the phase ends. Exalted light is always conscious of darkness. Caution as an expression of social experience. Detrimented, the tendency to remember only the painful lessons learned. Caution, which is conditioned by the most painful social experiences. And when we get to the fifth line, the heretic line, the important thing to really understand about the heretic is it's really about projection. And the projection always goes positive, then negative. You know, the positive, they could do it, they'd be perfect at it, that's the best person for this thing. And then if they don't do it, can't do it, don't want to do it, whatever reason they're not meeting that expectation, then the projection shifts to negative. This is where, you know, the idea that the heretic being burned at the stake comes in, because, you know, they haven't met this projection of that they're going to be the perfect person, and often they don't. This can, people talk about paranoia associated with the fifth line. Given the projection field, often if they are out to get you, it really isn't paranoia, isn't it? Universalization is also a quality of the fifth line, as well as suspicion. Universalization would be where something spreads like a virus, whether it's a YouTube video, Facebook post, something like that. So obviously, the projection can impact the nature of relationships, including seduction being a theme of the fifth line day. And then also on the 17th, Mercury, newly direct here, moves forward from the 20 into the 16. Mercury in mythology is the messenger of the gods. This is communication and expansion of human consciousness through communication. Ra talked about it being not just as words, but also as music. What do we need to communicate in life? Well, we communicate the message of our design Mercury through the medium of our personality Mercury. And what might be communicated when Mercury is in the 16? Well, I'd expect people to say, I experiment. You know, we are now in a logic channel, the collective circuit, where it's talking about patterns, and that, you know, only through repetition, only through going through something repeatedly, do we get it refined to the point where we no longer have doubt. This is the gate of skills, enthusiasm, the great art of enriching life by the harmonic channeling of energy. Mercury is in the first line of the 16, where it's detrimented as delusion, false enthusiasm, detrimented the public communication of inevitably unrealized claims, the tendency to express fantasy as fact. On the 18th, the sun then moves up into the sixth line. So it's now in the role model line, 12th hexagram, at 5:04 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. The sun is exalted in the 12-6 as metamorphosis, faith in and the energy applied towards change and the emergence from standstill. Exalted creative transcendence leads to successful mutation and the emergence of a new social form. The capacity to mutate, to express new social forms. 6-line days up here, a role model up on the roof of the hexagram. I like to think about this as if we were on the roof of a house or roof of a building. We're not really looking at the building so much. We're looking at what's next, what's around in the neighborhood, what's going on in the distance. And this is kind of like the 6-line, on the top of the hexagram. It's really looking at what's the next hexagram. In the circuitry, it's not even looking at what's on the other side of the channel as much as what else is going on in that circuit group. So Ra talked about on 6-line days, don't get you stuck with your head in the clouds because you'll end up having something bang into your kneecaps or your shins. It's a day where there's a lack of focus on what's going on around you because folks are looking beyond the immediate environment. And like 3rd-line days, there's certain dangers of not seeing a car coming, not seeing a bill coming, things of that nature. And then on the 19th, the sun then moves from the 12th hexagram to the 15. Mars remains in the 12, so that stays up on the chart. But then we've got the sun in the 15. And with that, the Earth leaves the 11 and moves into the 10. So we've got the Earth. It's in the 10th gate of the behavior of the self, treading the underlying code of behavior that ensures successful interaction despite circumstances. This shift happens at 4:38 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, with the sun in the 15th gate of extremes, modesty, the quality of behavior which endures the proper balance between extremes. The sun in the first line of the 15 is described as duty, the ability to confront any challenge without expectations, exalted harmonic relationships which give support for the fulfillment of any task, the capacity of the self to confront any challenges through extreme and harmonic relationships, detrimented alienation engendered through exaggerated claims, the capacity of the self to alienate through extremes. And again, we're starting a new hexagram, so we start out in the lower trigram with the 1st, 2nd, 3rd lines, which again, the shifting at this point moving into the new hexagram with more of an inward perspective than the lower trigram. Again, where people are absorbed in their own process. Like I said before, the investigative line is a day when there might be a fear or an anxiety that needs to be investigated. So a day to study, not to act, a day to look into things, not to jump, a good day to deal with things you don't understand, can't make sense of, or don't know. And then on the 20th, the sun then moves into the 2nd line of the 15. We're in the hermit line of the 15th hexagram with the shift at 4:12 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. The sun is exalted in the 15 too, described as influence, exalted modesty and right action result in enduring results. The capacity of the self to accept its extreme nature as correct. And again, when we talked about 2nd-line days, people with the hermit energies, people rather stay home. They're waiting for something, waiting to be called particularly. Again, the energy is not particularly great for a social occasion under that hermit influence. Also on the 20th, Venus moves from the 33rd hexagram to the 7th. In human design, Venus is very powerful, deeply misunderstood. According to Ra, it brings morality and values, natural law in which we deal with the other and the consequences of the world around us, and what disturbs you on a moral level. Your design and personality, Venuses, tell us about the moral dilemma that you're going to work with in your life. And then if you don't act with moral clarity, Ra talked about Venus being unkind in its retribution. In the seventh hexagram and gate, Venus is in the gate of the role of the self, the army, the point of convergence by design, the need for leadership to guide and order society. And in the first line, Venus is exalted in the first line of the seven, the authoritarian, the iron hand that both enlightened and despotic, exalted basic values and rules imposed on a child, the capacity of the self to guide with authority. So no matter what energies are conditioning you during the week, just remember this experience is about being a passenger, riding in a vehicle, driven by the magnetic monopole. So enjoy the scenery, let the vehicle take you where you need to go through using your strategy and authority. Every day is a blessing no matter what the dramas are that beckon to distract us. We're all giving the performance of a lifetime on this world stage. Just take some time to observe the play, watch your movie, as well as act your part. Remember, you're a spiritual being that's having a human experience. I want to thank you for checking out New World Birth. The next segment of the weekly neutrino forecast will be on June 21st, 2015. Should be available on the 20th. When we will continue to look at the influence of the heavenly bodies as they transit the sky and the hexagrams of the I Ching. You can check us out on Facebook, Blogger, or YouTube, as there's New World Birth presences in all those places. And I encourage you to share this information as videos or as text as widely as you choose. And invite you to contact me at newworldbirth@yahoo.com if you have any questions or wish to schedule a reading. If you've been thinking about getting a reading, please contact me. I would love to provide you a reading during these uncertain times. You'll need to be able to either call me in Maine in the USA, or we can connect with Skype to receive your reading. We're also accepting donations to keep these reports freely available. And again, newworldbirth@yahoo.com. If you contact me there, I'll give you directions on how to make a donation. And as I said before, a great way of making a donation is get a reading. My readings are different than anything you've ever had before. I use human design to look at who the character is, who's the person. But then I use astrology transits to look at what are the experiences that this person's going. So if you thought about it being like being a playwright, the human design part is the character description. The astrology transit part is the scenes and acts of the play. And then the lines of the character are strategy and authority. So that's what I offer people. I don't think there's anyone else who combines those two systems the way I do. But I think it gives a really nice holistic view of the person and what's the landscape that person is currently traversing. So anyway, as always, I'm blessed that you've taken the time to connect with my passion for all these ancient mysteries and their application to our journey during this incarnation. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste, in Lakesh, and as Ra would say, love yourself. Anyway, great gratitude. I'm so happy that we've had the chance to talk, and connect with I've been talking, you've been listening, but feel free to contact me if you've got anything you want to share. All my best to everybody, and we'll catch you next week.